Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as you know by now, Wilder has disposed of Lakovic pretty easy, as a lot of us suspected he would. If you just watched my previous video, I made the video actually on the day that he was going to fight Lakovic, and I didn't even really bring up the Lakovic fight because I didn't think it was that relevant. Now, your average fan would say, when you knock out somebody like that, you look at the way he's laying in this picture, and the way he was trembling like he was having a seizure. When you knock out somebody like that, you know, the perception is it is very fucking impressive. And it is impressive to a certain extent. You see, guys, I know it's hard for a lot of people to believe that even when you knock out someone in such a devastating fashion, there are still spots in your game that can be criticized. What I'm about to say about Wilder right now is going to surprise a lot of fans. But to my colleagues on YouTube and everywhere else that really knows the sport like I do, it's not going to surprise you guys at all. Let me tell you guys something right now. Outside of the vicious knockout punch that Wilder delivered, I was not really that impressed with his performance. I know it sounds crazy. I know you're saying, what are you talking about? The fight only lasted like 2 minutes. Like I said before, guys, there are a lot of things that you could detect just in 2 minutes, okay? And what I was noticing right off the bat was Lakovic was throwing a really good stiff jab, right? Single jab, double jab. He was coming in with a real nice jab. What I did not like about Deontay Wilder is he would back up, but he would do it in this real uncomfortable way. And when he backed up, it wasn't like he was trying to take a little jump back so he could counter with the right hand, or he wasn't trying to set anything up. He would just back up like he almost like a panic, like he didn't know what to do, right? And then sometimes he would even back up and get hit with the jab. He just really looked awkward and out of place. He looked like a very inexperienced fighter is what he looked like, right? And coincidentally, I was just scrolling through some of the fights. I watch fights sometimes in my truck, and I have this disc of highlights of all these knockouts, and it's just so funny because coincidentally I was watching the highlights of Lennox Lewis back in the day when he had his flat top, right, and he had knocked out Razor Ruddock, and I couldn't help but do a quick comparison, to Deontay Wilder, right, or Deontay Wilder. Now, what I noticed when I was watching Lennox Lewis is standing right in front of Razor Ruddock, right? And as Razor Ruddock is trying to attack Lennox Lewis, he takes a quick step back. But when Lewis takes a step back, he's catching you with jabs. He's catching you with stiff jabs, with right hands, and even hooks, right? So the point that I'm making is, even when he's taking a step back, Lennox Lewis is still in control of the situation, right? Now, when Wilder was taking a step back, he did not look like he was in control. Quite frankly, it looked like Lakovic was in control at the time. Now, in Deontay Wilder's defense, he has nowhere near the amateur background that Lennox Lewis has, right? I mean, Lennox Lewis, he was boxing since he was a child. He was a gold medalist. Deontay Wilder, I think he only had like 30 amateur fights, and like the modern day heavyweights today, he started really late. So in a certain element, it's impressive everything that Deontay Wilder was able to do. I mean, you're talking about a guy who only had 30 amateur fights, started his career late, and he was the only person on the American Olympic team that got a medal, right? So that's pretty damn impressive. But with all that being said, I kind of changed my opinion a little bit on what I thought about, Wilder after watching this fight. Before I thought he had a really good chance of knocking out Arreola and looking really impressive if they were to fight, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, and I know this is going to surprise a lot of you guys, but I'm almost thinking that Arreola, he just may upset Wilder if this fight comes to fruition, because I know I'm getting a little ahead of ourselves right now. They say They said that Wilder was supposed to fight the winner of Arreola and Seth Mitchell. I already told you guys, I believe that Arreola is going to destroy Mitchell in the first 3 rounds. But at the same time, realistically, we don't really know if Arreola is going to take that fight. Because Chris, he really didn't jump out of his way to fight Seth Mitchell when he was considered the undefeated American hope, right? So who knows? But like I said, but one thing I will say when it comes to Deontay Wilder is I truly do believe that Brian Jennings and Andy Ruiz are far more well-rounded than he is. Don't get me wrong. You know, Wilder, he has that kind of power where he can knock out anyone. And he has that type of height to go with that power. But I'm still not sure if Wilder knows how to take advantage of that height that he has. He didn't, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't really take advantage of using his jab when he was fighting against Sergey this past weekend. You know, one thing I did notice when I was talking about him jumping back, he did catch Sergey with a couple of counter hooks, you know, little check hooks when he jumped back. But overall, it just wasn't that complete package type performance. So that's my thoughts on Deontay Wilder. And I'll catch up with you guys. I'm on to the next one.